Okay, hello everyone. We are starting the review now. So you have 45 minutes. Let's see how much you can finish. But I already told you what will be in the exam. And hopefully I can write here. Let me see. See my morning? Now what's wrong? You know, when I was coming to the classroom few minutes ago, I was almost falling down on the floor because they were cleaning it. And it was wet, and I didn't see. I was like, I was walking, like, I was almost falling down. I was like, shit, like my morning, I don't know what's going to happen the entire day. True. I don't know why. Yeah, I wish I can give you a break to all of you and then just sleep. Plus, I have a paper due tonight, and I still didn't even start. So, like, oh man, I want my paper due for my research class. Yeah, like, huh? They check it actually. They check the facts, everything. Yeah. Even if you do use ChatGPT, you still have to do everything by yourself so they can check ChatGPT is giving you right answer. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm an expert. Trust me. Okay, so I'll ask you a few of these around 4 or 5. Identify whether the graphs are function or not. And then I'll give you 3 to 4. Identify whether the functions are, whether these equations are function or not. Then from here, I'll give you this type of difference questions. It's a difference question exactly, but this question. And then from domain, there will be 2 domain questions. One is with rational and one is with square root. So for rational, either is this type or either B or C, one of them. We are going to do both. And then for square root, there are 2 types. One is easy and one is harder. In the final exam, they usually like to give you harder one. So I'll give you the harder one, this one. And then from here, I'll give you probably 3 of these, like this. So all 3. Graph will be different, okay? You just have to find domain and range based on the graph. Find the slope, 1 question from 3 types. And then for this type of standard form, find the slope, x-intercept, y-intercept graph. For parallel or perpendicular line, find the slope. So one will be for parallel and one will be for perpendicular. What is this? I can't even see. Find the equation. Oh no, there are the four questions I told you before, 4 types. So I'm going to give you 1 type. Which one? I'm not sure. So you have parallel to the x-axis or perpendicular to parallel to the x-axis or perpendicular to the x-axis, or parallel to the y-axis or perpendicular to the y-axis. 4 scenarios. I'm going to give you only 1 scenario, or maybe I'll give you 2 scenarios. One is for the x-axis and one is for the y-axis. Yeah. So one is for x-axis and one is for y-axis. Here you're not doing any math, so you're just doing the graph and that's it. Find the equation of the line when a point is given and slope is given 1. For the graph will be given. Find the x value when the y is given and find the y value when x is given. So 1 from AB, 1 from CD. We have 3 types. Absolute value is the V, square root is this, and we have cubic is this. So from these three shape, I'll give you one shape, and you're going to do all three transformation: reflection, left, right, and up, down. So one. And then this type of scenario where the transformation will be given, you have to write down the equation for the transformation. Definitely one. And then I'm going to give you the difference between having a parenthesis and not having a parenthesis when you have a negative on the base. Okay. For example, what is 4 square? 16. And what is negative and then 4 square? It's negative times 4 square, so it's negative 16. And what is negative for whole thing square? Positive 16, because this is negative 4 times negative 4. So find the difference between B and C. I'll give you this. And then either I'm going to give you 2 here, this question, or the one I showed you before, this. Okay, one of these. They're same. One of these. And from simplifying radical, simplifying fraction power, and with no negative power, I'll give one, at least one. You may see more than one, but at least one. Okay, I should say more than or equal one. It could be one or more than one. Definitely one of these, where you have to distribute the power, convert the negative into positive, and then simplify. And then definitely one of the multiplication. So first you're going to multiply numbers with the number, variable with the variable, and then simplify them. And then lastly, you have binomial multiplication. So you're going to distribute and then multiply. You have 3 things. I'm going to give you at least one. If I have space, I'm going to give you more than one. But if I don't have space, only one. And after giving you all these questions, if I have some space left, then I'm going to give you around 30 questions on the exponent rules. Okay. For example, the rules for 0. 0 to the 0, what is 0 to the negative power, what is 0 to the positive power. I'm going to give you an example of this, and you're going to give me the answer. This will be only one word answer, not even word, one number answer. Okay. So around 30. And all of these will be under one question. So I'll say question number 10, simplify all these using exponent rules. And you're just going to solve them. Not solving, like simplify them.
Wait, so all right, so we have like 20 questions because there's gonna be like 30 of them, right? So how much do they count for?
So this 30 will have 31 question each, so 1 point each. So this is 30 question, 30 points here. No, yes, this is 30 points. And then the rest we have 70, the rest are 70. And I'll give you some partial credit, some non-partial credit. So most of them will be non-partial, like the final exam. In the final exam, you have 30 questions, and you have 22 multiple choice, but the multiple choice doesn't count if you don't show the correct work. So in class exam, we'll have similar format. If I give you 20 questions, then 15 of them will be multiple choice, and 5 of them will be non-multiple choice. In the non-multiple choice, you can get partial credit, but in the multiple choice, there is no partial credit. So you really have to do your work correctly. Okay. Okay, now let's start from the beginning and see how much you can finish. Whatever you cannot finish, I'm going to go over that in my second class afternoon. So I'm going to post both recording. You just have to go and watch the recording. Do you know where the recordings are? YouTube. YouTube. Do you know the YouTube channel? Type my name and you will see a cartoon character, Anya. Do you know Anya? Spy X Family. So that's my channel. And you'll see under playlist 1030, all the videos are there.
But isn't like the letter links and also in the TV?
Right. On Bright Space, if you forget my name, which will be really disappointing. If you forget my name, go to Brightspace. Under content, you will see lecture videos. Click on that, and then the link will take you to YouTube. Okay. Okay, let's start. The fun questions. Do these graph represent function or not? How do you test that? Vertical line test. So draw a vertical line, and we have two intersections. Is it a function? No. How about the next one?
Yeah.
Yes. The next one. The next one.
Yeah.
Next one.
Yeah.
Next one.
Yeah.
The last one. Good. So in the exam, that's all you have to do. Draw a vertical line and write yes, no. That's it. The second one, we are given a bunch of equations and you identify which one of these are functions. We have y equals x squared. Yes? And now you have to state why. Why it's a function. Okay, it's a parabola. You can say it's a parabola. And if you don't know it's a parabola, what do you have to tell me? Y has what type of power? Add or even? Add power, because there is invisible one. Y has add power. So we only care about y. If y has add power, it's a function. If y doesn't, if y has even power, it's not a function. So y with add power function, y with even power, or there is no y. If you don't see any y or y with even power, it's not a function. So you just have to remember these two rules. The next one, B, is it a function? Yes. Why? It's a linear, true. And if you don't know it's a linear, you have to tell me the same rule, same reasoning at the last one. Y has add power. How about C? Yes. Why? It's a horizontal line, true, horizontal line. If you know, but if you don't know, it's the same reasoning as before. Y has add power. Now D. Why not? No. It's a vertical line if you know, but if you don't know, what can you tell me? No y. No y, not a function. How about the last one? Why not? Y has even power. So one reason for yes, no. So 1 point for yes, no, 1 point for your reasoning. If you don't tell me the reasoning, or if you tell me wrong reasoning, it's 0 for that reasoning. And let's say you got yes, no, wrong, but the reasoning is correct. If yes, no is wrong, it's automatically everything 0. Okay. So let's say you can say this is yes because it's a horizontal line. I'm going to give you 0 because you told me. So if you can say this is no because it's a horizontal line. So when it's no, that means you don't know what's happening. So definitely the reasoning doesn't count. Okay. So if you get yes, no correct, then the reasoning will be marked. If yes, no is wrong, the reasoning automatically goes to 0. Okay, the next type, we have f of x, and they want us to find f of 3 plus h minus f of 3. So do you remember what you're supposed to do first? Replace 3 plus h with every x you see. So f of 3 plus h is 3 plus h squared minus 2. So instead of x squared, you get everything inside the parentheses. And then do you remember what do you do? FOIL. You cannot distribute. You have to use FOIL. The distribution of the power works only in multiplication and division. For addition or subtraction, there is no distribution. You have to use FOIL. So when you FOIL them out, blah, 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 you get 9 plus 6, 8 plus 8 squared minus 2. And then these two are like terms. So you get 6, 8 plus 8 squared plus 7. So this is the first one. And now they're telling us, hey, find f of 3. So you go and replace your x with 3. So you have 3 squared 9, 9 minus 3 is 7. And now finally you can compute the overall whatever they're asking for. They are saying take f of 3 plus 8 and subtract whatever you got from f of 3. So this we got 6, 8 plus 8 squared plus 7. And you're subtracting f of 3, which is 7. So what is happening here? Plus 7 minus 7 cancel out. And we have 8 squared plus 6h. Any question? Okay, then domain. Depending on what type of function you have different types of problem. And based on different types of problem, you figure out which x value you're allowed to plug in. Do you remember what's wrong with the rational? What is the problem with rational? Say it louder. What is not equal to 0? Denominator. Every rational has same problem. Denominator cannot be 0. It can be positive, it can be negative, but cannot be 0. And I'm saying denominator, not x. Denominator cannot be 0. So you take whatever you have on the denominator. It could be easy question like this, or it could be harder question like this, but it doesn't matter what you have, that thing cannot be 0. So you take your denominator, 28 minus 7x squared, and you say this thing cannot be 0. And then you figure out which x makes this 0. So you have to factor. What can you factor here? 7, perfect. What is left? 7 goes to 28, 4 minus x squared. So this cannot be 0. 7 doesn't have any x, we don't need that. Divide both sides by 7. It's useless. If you don't have any x, it's useless. So we have 4 minus x squared cannot be 0. And do you know how to factor 4 minus x squared? You don't, right? If you don't, it's okay. But if you do factor, it will be a be easier. Actually, the other way around. Because your position, you have number first. So this is 2 square and this is x square. So we have difference of perfect squares. The factors for difference of perfect square is the addition and subtraction of their bases. So we have 2 and x, you add them. 2 and x, you subtract them. And this thing cannot be 0. But if you forget the factoring, no problem. You can do this. Or we have 4 minus x squared cannot be 0. You can add x squared to both sides. So you get 4 cannot be x squared. And then how can you get here the square? Square root. So that time you must remember, anytime you take the square root of a variable, there are 2 numbers always. So you have to write plus and minus. And what is square root of 4? 2. So if you solve each of these, you get x plus 2 cannot be 0 and x minus 2 cannot be 0. That means x cannot be -2 and x cannot be +2. So there are two numbers you cannot plug in for your x. Besides these two numbers, you can plug in everything else. But it's a writing interval notation. So you know it by logic or by inequality, but you have to write this out using interval notation. So you look at the number line. From negative to positive infinity, you can substitute everything with x, but there are two numbers you definitely cannot plug in. One of them is -2, one of them is +2. So how do you write the first interval? -infinity to -2, parentheses. We cannot plug in x for -2. We cannot plug in -2 for x, sorry. So it's parentheses. And then you have the second, and then the last one, infinity. So that's how you give me the answer. Write in interval notation. If you don't, you're going to lose points. And if it's in the multiple choice, that means you're going to get 0 because it's not in interval notation. Okay, next we have radical, even radical. What is wrong with even radical? Huh?
So basically, you have to, and then.
So it cannot have negative. Cannot be negative. That's the problem. It cannot be negative. So whatever we have inside, that has to be either 0 or positive. So you write 100 minus x squared. It can be 0. It can be 0. The what? It can be 0 or it can be positive. If you do it this way, then it will be easier. Why? Because you don't have to work with inequality. When you square, working with inequality doesn't make sense actually at the end. So for square, since you square, that's why don't use the inequality, just use 0 or positive. Now what makes this 0? So you're solving for x. So 100 equals x squared. Then what is your x? Only 10? Plus minus 10. So when you have plus 10 or minus 10, this thing will be 0. Okay. Now we need to know which numbers give them positive. Numbers inside here, number inside here, or number inside here. Which numbers gives us something positive, makes this positive. So you can take only one interval. You don't have to take all three, just take one interval and check that. Let's see. So let's take this interval and pick a number. Any number between -10 to +10. 0. 0 is the best number. And let's see when x is 0, what is the outcome? Is it positive or negative? So we have 100 minus 0 squared, which is 100. Oh, it's a positive. So since this is positive, the other two will be negative. Because if you try to factor this, did I show you that in this class? When you have odd power in your factor, then the sign alternates. Did I tell you that? No? Okay. So if you factor this without solving, two factors will be 10 plus x, 10 minus x, right? Using difference of half squares, like the one we did before. 100 is 10 squared. So 10 plus x, 10 minus x. And 10 plus x has power 1, 10 minus x is power 1. So when you factor a polynomial and each factor has add power, then the sign alternates. So you can test only one interval and the other two interval will alternate. So the middle ones is plus, that means this will be minus, this will be minus. You can check, but this is the rule. If we have add power on the factor, then sign will alternate for those zeros. So this will be minus, this will be minus. We are not looking for minus numbers. We are looking for plus numbers. You can check, definitely. If you have time, sure, check. But since we don't have time, I'm not going to check. By default, these two will be negative. That means you're looking for only the numbers from negative 10 to positive 10. That's our domain in table notation. This term will be bracket because we can use 10 or negative 10 for x. When x is 10 squared, then say 0, then you allow 10 0. When x is negative 10, we have negative 10 squared, which is 0. We still have 0 for our y value. Okay. So this is the domain for square root, and that's the domain for rational. And I'll give you both of these. Any question? Now we are finding the same thing, domain and range, but this time the graph is given, and the graph is not continuous. This graph is continuous, but it's not using all y values. So for domain, it's a V, absolute value graph. So which x values you see in your absolute value graph? Negative infinity to positive infinity, because this line is going on forever on the left, and this line is going on forever on the right. So for every point, you are getting a negative x value on the left, a positive x value on the left. So the line is going on forever. So on the left, you have negative x value, negative infinity. On the right, you have positive x value to positive infinity. However, the range is the y's, smallest y to the largest y. So what is the smallest y we have here? 3. So it starts from 3, and the line is going upward forever. So what's the highest? Positive infinity. For 3, do you have a hole or do you have a closed circle? So what do you have for 3? Bracket. So if you have a hole, it's parentheses. If you have a closed circle or just a line without anything, then it's a bracket. Now the next one. The x values. Also, the line is going forever on the left side. So what is the smallest x value we have on the left side? The green line. This is going on forever. So we have negative infinity until you come at 0. At 0, do you see any number? It's a hole. So hole means there is no number for 0. So we have to stop. We cannot substitute x with 0 because 0 has a hole in it. So it stops its journey, and then it starts its journey again. So it stops, and then it crosses 0, and then start its journey again. So since it's starting from 0, so it's 0, and it's whole, so parentheses. And now this journey is going on forever. So x is positive infinity. If you don't stop anywhere, if you're going on forever on the left and right, it's negative infinity and positive infinity. Now for range, smallest y to the largest y. What is the smallest y you have? This should be your smallest y, right? So your y starts from 0, but what is happening at 0? Do you have a number at 0? No, it's a hole. At hole, there is no number. So it's parentheses. It starts from 0, but it's touching 0. It's just very close to 0. And then the line is going on forever upward. So what's the highest y? Infinity. So y value. This is our smallest y, and the graph is going on forever. So largest y is infinity. Now talking about second one. Okay. And now we are going to the third one. Third one has 3 different pieces. So we're going to have 3 different domains. And in the 3 different domains, if you don't see any gap, you can combine them. But if you see a gap, then you cannot combine them.
On the test, you have to write the range too.
Range true. For the graph, it's domain and range. But for the function, it's only domain. So here, for this piece, the graph is going on forever on the left side. So what is the smallest x value we have in the graph? Negative infinity. And it's going on up to here. It has a hole here. So what's the x value here? 0. So it's negative infinity to 0. And then it starts its journey again in the second piece from 0.
Right.
So it starts from 0, and this time we have a number at 0. So it's bracket. And in this piece, it went up to here. So what is the x value here? X value 1. So it's from 0 to 1. And at 1, we have a number. So it's close bracket. And then it's jumped and starts its journey from here, where we have a hole. So let me make the hole visible. So at this point, what is your x value? 1. So you're starting your journey from 1 again. Oh, and it's hole because it's parentheses because it's a hole. And then this journey is going on forever and ever and ever and ever. So what is the largest x value we have? Infinity. And now compare, do I have any gap in my journey? I stopped at 0, but that's exactly from 0. So there is no gap at 0. Then at 1, I stopped at 1 and started exactly from 1. So there is no gap in 1. So in other words, there is no gap in any of the interval it stopped. So we can combine this whole thing and we get a final domain. What's the final domain? Negative to positive infinity. So it has 3 pieces, but it did not skip any x value. So it was clever. But for the y is dumber. Let's say it goes from 0 to 1 and then starts from 2 to infinity. So what happens to from 1 to 2? There is gap. Any gap means you have to stop. Like the range. Let's look at the range. Range starts from the smallest y, right? So we have smallest y here. The line is going on forever downward. So what is the smallest y? Negative infinity. Until it goes to this point. What's the y value at this point? Negative 1. But what's wrong with negative 1? It's a hole, so there is no number. So parentheses. And then it jumped and starts its journey from 0. So union 0, and this time we have a number at 0. It's a close, so it's bracket. From 0 until it reached here. What's the number here? 3. So it goes from 0 to 3, and 3 has a close bracket. Sorry, a closed circle, so it's bracket. And then it jumped up again, and then it goes to this number. What is this number? This 3, so this number is 4. And from 4, did it go upward? No, it It stopped at 4 as y. There is no y value after 4, so we have a curly bracket for 4. And now look at its journey. It starts at -1 and it starts from 0. So what is happening from -1 to 0? There is no y value. So you cannot combine these two. Same thing, it stopped at 3 and then suddenly starts at 4. So what is happening all the number between 3 and 4? They did not use, y did not use that. So that means we cannot combine the y's because there is a hole, there is a gap in its journey. But x, it didn't have any gap in the journey. Okay. So my plan is to give you 3 of these. Any question? No? Okay, the next one. Find the slope that goes through 2 points. That means you have to remember your slope formula. What's the slope formula? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let me write it 3 times because I'm going to do all 3 examples. y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Slope y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Can you see the numbers? Is it clear? So for the first pair, we have 12, 15, 10, 3. So what I should write? What minus what on the numerator? 15 minus 3 divided by? You cannot do that. You told me 15 is your y2. If 15 is the y2, your x2 has to be 12. You cannot say x2 is 10 if your y2 is 15. So whatever you're starting with for the y, you have to start your x exactly from that point. See, Jack says 15 minus 3, and Amma says 10 minus 12. They don't match the position. 15 has 12 in it. So you have to start at 12 and then minus other number. If you do 3 minus 15, then you can do 10 minus 12. But if you start from 15, you have to start from 12. So position, it cannot change. So 15 minus 3, and what goes on the denominator? Really? 12 minus 10. Amar says 10 minus 12. No, you can pick either one, x1, y1. But whatever you're picking, you have to start your next number from exactly that point. So you said you want your y2 to be 15. That means your x2 has to be 12. And you can switch the position, but if you do, you have to switch both position, both x and y. So this is this, or it's 3 minus 15 and 10 minus 12. Okay. 3 is negative. Oh yeah, 3 is negative, guys. Thank you. You have a good eye. No wonder you have glasses. So it's a negative 3. Negative is unclear here, unclear. So if it's negative 3, you have a negative 3 here. So what happens when you have double negative? Positive. So what is 15 plus 3? 18 divided by? For the left one, it's 12 minus 10. So it's positive 2, which is 9. But if you do the right one, no problem. Negative 3, negative 15 gives you negative 18, and denominator, negative 2. So what happens to the negative? Positive 9. So that's why we said the position doesn't matter. You can do anything as x1, y1, either the first pair or the second pair. But whatever your x1 is, your y1 has to be the next number on the same pair. So we have a 9. And now B, it's 2, 5, 2, 3, 2, negative 3. So let me do B here. What minus what? -3 minus 5 divided by, this is negative actually. And the denominator is 2 minus 2. So we have what over what? -8 over 0. And now if you divide, can you divide -8 into 0 pieces? No. Undefined. It doesn't exist. Undefined is fine. For me, I'm not too picky. Unlike your tutor. He's doing it for good, for your good, guy, but it's okay. He's strict, but he's trying to make you have all the good vocabulary for every concept. For me, I don't care. As long as you understand, it's fine. Whatever that is. The last one, we have -2535. So what over what? On the numerator, what minus what? 5 minus 5. On the denominator, 3 minus -2. So basically it's 3 plus 2. So we have 0 over 5. Yeah, you can see it clearly on your review sheet. But here, the zooming doesn't good. It's not good enough. So if you have $0 and if you divide this $0 into 5 pieces, how much dollar you have?
Zero.
Still $0 you have. You can divide 0 into as many pieces as you want because here's the imagination. It's 0. I'm dividing my 0 into 100 pieces. What do you have?
Zero.
Still 0. You have nothing to start with. But the other story is not happening. If we have 8 candies, there is no way you can divide them into 0 pieces. It's not possible. Okay, so one of them. Okay, find the slope. The next one says from standard form, find slope, x, y, and graph. So let's start with finding slope. There are two methods. Either you remember the formula for slope, the number for slope, or you just solve for slope. So if you want to remember, for a standard form, your slope is -a over b. So you just have to remember that. For a standard position, from a standard form of a line, it's -a over b. So if you follow that, it will be -2 over -6. Negative cancel out. It's 1/3. If you can remember this, but let's say you forgot this, you don't remember, then you need to convert into y equals mx plus b format. So you need to get the y alone. You subtract 2x. So -6y is -2x plus 12. You divide everything by -6. So you get y equals 1/3 x minus 2. And now you know your slope is 1/3, which is exactly same as this. And what is -2? Y-intercept. So 0, -2. X-intercept.
Yeah.
Y0. So this becomes 0. Yeah. So you have 6 on the x-axis, -2 on the y-axis, and then you connect them. So we did up to here. That means with my afternoon class, I'm going to start with these questions and then just watch the recording. I'm going to post the recording after 4. So we are doing all the questions here, and most of the questions are from our lecture notes. I am okay because I'm talking a lot. That's why. Yeah. And when I talk louder, my mouth gets too dry. I cough. Stop. Thursday, I saw it will be raining. Don't be late, guys. You see, there are so many questions you have to do. So definitely don't be late, especially Terrence. Yeah.
Terrence.
Do I show no. Just for that.